Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Orange Pill Podcast. My name is Graham Elwood. We're here in the Orange Pill Studios in beautiful downtown San Salvador, and we have a very special guest joining us today, the Minister of Education here in El Salvador, Minister Mauricio Pineda. How are you, sir?
Graham, how are you? I'm thrilled to be here sharing this very, very important topic for the educational system in El Salvador. So thank you for having me here. And we can start as a minute if do you want it.
I appreciate that. And thank you to you and your staff for putting this all together. I know you're a very busy man. So first, I've been very impressed with what has happened in this country in such a short amount of time, and seeing, we're going to get into how, you're teaching Bitcoin in the schools and all that. But first, I just wanted to get to know you and want the audience to get to know you. How did you get involved in politics? Like, tell us your story.
Well, I've was for more than 25 years an international civil servant. I used to work for the UN. First of all, I worked for UNICEF more than 25 years. Then I make a decision and I quit to the UN, and I was working as a civil servant, but in El Salvador already. I used to work for, I don't know if you have heard about her. She is Doctora Maria Isabel Rodriguez. She is a scientist from El Salvador, and she, at her 87 years old, she was the Minister of Health. So I used to work with her in the ministry. So I started there my story in the public service in El Salvador. And I was, when Mr. President Nayib Bukele came to the government, worked in the Minister of Education as a director planning. So I was already there. I was, walking down in the White House, in the presidential house, and suddenly one of very high officers in the government talked me to the ears and told me, listen, I am proposing you for Minister of Education. And I said, what? Yeah, I'm proposing you. That happened around 10, 11 a.m. I went to my office. Suddenly, I received a call on the phone. There was a voice on the other side, and asked me, are you ready? Mr. President is going to, you got to firm as a Minister of Education at 3 p.m. And I said, listen, I'm only want to ask you three things. The first one, the most important thing for me, is I have to go to my place and talk to my family, my wife and two kids, and ask them if they are ready, if they are willing to accept this very interesting so far journey. And
So just real quick, I want to interject. So you were because you knew like how big of a deal,
absolutely,
and you knew it would impact your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay,
absolutely, yeah. And I went and they say yes. And for me, since then, it's been more than a job. For me, it's an honor working with the best president all over the world. I mean, a man that has very clear, but at the same time had the guts in order to take those very tough decisions that he's taken in order to have this country as you know it. Because before that, I mean, this was a mess. This was a country that was governed for politicians that they only think about their pockets. And now we do have, previous election like 10 days ago. I mean, there's no story about that. I mean, all over the world in democracy, we have never seen a voting process like the one we had it. But not only that, because this is his second shift, So normally what happens is when you are in the government, you have some in the process, your figure is being damaged. When you finish like 20% of acceptance. Right. But here he got it even higher. 80, almost 85% of the voting was for him as a president. So, as I was saying, for me, is an honor being part of this government. And there is a lot of very funny story. I was in the UN building in September last year, and suddenly there was a guy running behind me and yelling, "Minister, minister!" I mean, we were like, I don't know, 400 ministers there of the delegation. So I was, I just continue walking, and suddenly the guy touched me on the shoulder and asked me, "Can I take a picture with you?" And I said, "Of course. I mean, everybody wants to take a picture with me." But he came in and told me, "Yeah, at least I want to have a picture with one of the ministers of Mr. President Nayib Bukele." So the vocalism is all over the world. It doesn't really matter where you are. People knows the things that we as a country have been doing, led by Mr. President Bukele.